I would like to bring you to the world of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. In this tweet from Ursula Perano, she says, AOC on talks about her future ambitions with a heavy comment, quote, realistically, I can't even tell you if I'm going to be alive in September, and that weighs very heavily on me. All right, well, hold on.
Girl did some mushrooms, huh?
Oh my gosh.
She's like, I'm getting ready for this.
Life doesn't even exist.
It's okay to cry.
Now, hold on. There's several questions. Does she have a terminal disease?
Right. I hope not.
Okay.
It's called life. Yes.
Is she suicidal? That's a serious question. Because saying something like that, I think people haven't thought about what she could mean by this.
Suicidal.
Right.
And if she's not sick and she says something like, I don't know if I'll be alive, usually that's a sign of depression. Especially in the context of this article, she says a woman of color can never be president because people hate them or something. It's like very negative. She was crying when she said this.
Really?
They said that she had
But I think she
tears
knows
in
how
her
to cry.
eyes.
She does.
Yeah, but you know what?
We saw the fence.
Maybe
photos.
she needs like a 5150 or something. She needs to be brought somewhere and given an evaluation, because if you tell people crying that you don't know if you're going to be alive in September, we need to sit you down and ask you what's wrong, because if you ignore this, something bad could happen. We want her to be okay. And I know the left is going to be like, oh, shut up. And they're like, no, dude, okay, we're going to play a game. Pick one. Do you think she's referring to a civil war and that racists would come and kill her by September?
Yes.
Yes.
You think that's what she's talking
Yeah,
about?
I think she's shook up from the January 6th thing and it hasn't left her
You
mind
think
yet.
that a couple weeks ago, she was sitting there thinking, a couple weeks from now, a bunch of white racists are going to start a civil war and I'm going to die.
She probably thinks that she's a target. If something like that were to happen, she'd be like...
After January 6th, she was like, I could have died.
But she's not walking around with security detail. See, this is my point, right? The assumption a lot of people make is that she must be talking about like what Kathy Griffin is talking about or something like that. The other question is, okay, all right, most people are probably going to think it's something to do with political conflict. We still have to ask questions about like, dude, I'm the Civil War guy. I'm like ranting and raving about it. And I don't think in 3 weeks there's going to be a bunch of racists going around hunting down women of color.
Maybe it's climate change.
Right,
exactly.
Her comments remind me more of like Mark Ruffalo. Didn't he have this thing who's like, if we're around for long enough for me to film another...
She did say the world was going to end in 12 years a few years ago,
I
right?
think that if she'd been living
in
with
September,
purpose,
like,
it wouldn't matter if she's alive or dead. Like when you're living your purpose, you don't lament about when it might end. You're just doing it. So obviously, maybe she's lost a lack of purpose. She feels kind of aimless.
This was a crazy interview on a lot of fronts. I also enjoyed during it that she said she wasn't sure it would be like good for her to marry a white guy. She's currently engaged to a white guy that she's been dating
Maybe
for
she's like,
years.
he's gonna kill me in my sleep.
She seems like she's got a lot of anxiety she needs to work out. And I'm being a little sarcastic there, but also like you are setting yourself up for a lot of scenarios where you feel like at any point your life could fall apart and or be in danger. Like something is wrong.
I think she might be suicidal.
Wrong. Really?
Maybe.
I think we are looking through the lens of the culture war. And so we are assuming that someone political like AOC must be referring to what we see instead of asking a very simple question. When you hear hooves, it's not zebras, it's usually horses. The GQ article says, tears pooled in the corners of her eyes. She says, I hold two contradictory things in my mind. One is the relentless belief that anything is possible. At the same time, my experience here has given me a front row seat to how deeply and unconsciously as well as consciously so many people in this country hate women, and they hate women of color. People ask me questions about the future, and realistically, I can't even tell you if I'm going to be alive in September. Why is the immediate assumption, like, if you started off from a blanket, no reference to any individual, and said, someone says that in 3 weeks they might not be alive, your immediate reaction would not be,
check.
well, they're talking about civil war. No, you'd say wellness check.
Yeah,
you'd be like,
absolutely.
okay, why do you think that? The first question might be like, are they sick? Like someone who thinks they're going to die in a few weeks, are they terminally ill? They have cancer? I mean, maybe AOC does, and we don't know about it. I don't know. But I think either she's insane and she thinks that a bunch of crazy extremists are going to come kill her, which that sounds insane. Or she's depressed and crying in an interview about how people hate women of color and she doesn't know she'll be alive in September.
Right, but yeah, her leading with the people hate women of color is the thing that's kind of bringing me into the fact that maybe she's talking about extremism or...
But also, if you grew up always believing that you were the victim and your job is to overcome, you've got to do it, and like you're also the victim, but you're still kind of winning because you got to Congress, but also you're still the victim.
Either
like,
way, wellness check.
Exactly, that's her. What she
what
opens
does
with,
that
like,
mean,
I
though?
hold two contradictory things in my mind. Like, this is a very confused and divided person.
Yeah.
If she said this to like a psychotherapist who wasn't involved in the political world, he'd probably be like,
you need about a
We need to
3-month
check her out.
vacation, girl.
well, 3 days, an evaluation,
Just go
sit down,
to
some
Hawaii or
therapy.
something and look at the waves. Just sit on the beach.
If she genuinely believes that there's going to be white racist men hunting women of color, and that's why she'll die. She needs serious therapy. She needs a break right now. I don't know how long, but she needs to get out and she needs to go talk to a doctor, because that's crazy. I think it's a fair assessment to say she lives in a world where Biden comes out and says the MAGA extremists are a threat to this country, where she hears in the news all day about white supremacists, and she genuinely internalizes and believes this is the world she lives in. That's possible too. But I also think that is still using our echo chamber worldview. We know about political problems, so to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. We assume that political people must view the world this way, and if she does, that's the real reason. When in reality, it's like, dude, she's extremely high profile. She gets people shitting on her all the time. Maybe she's just like
maybe
not in
the
a good
pressure
place.
is a lot.
It is.
I which I can have a lot of empathy for that. You know, I will point out again, I know it sounds random, but she did get engaged in April, and I think that the idea that she's moving forward with this high-profile relationship, she's already in Congress, like, where do I go from this pinnacle career? I mean, people regularly include her in polls to become president. Like, what if she is actually unhappy with where her life is? She can't walk away from this, right?
It was a big change.
Big jump.
Like, people rag on her. I think it was great that she was a bartender. I think that the idea that a regular person can, get a seat in Congress is fantastic. I think it's stupid to insult her over it. But imagine going from no public persona to being one of the highest profile Democrats. It is stressful.
One of the highest ranking officers on the Death Star. The United States, the military machine is the Death Star, and all these people working in Congress are serving on the Death Star. So I understand her state of mind is broken, because she's like, what am I doing? That's just existential. That's like underneath the content on top of what she's been feeling.